Hello everyone, my name is NicholasVV, and today this video is a Game Maker tutorial on the basics of the UI or user interface. We will be going over the bare bones basics without me going anywhere in depth on it. This is for beginners to understand the gist of what they are seeing once they install and boot up their first project on this wonderful software. I'll explain what each of these buttons do up here and what each of these folders down here do as well. So let's get started. Off the bat, we have the New Game tab. This New Game tab creates a new project file from which to work from. Next to that, we have the Loads Game icon. The Load Game icon loads an existing project file saved somewhere on your system. Then we have our Save icon. The Save icon saves your game's progress like how a Word document saves a document. Each time you attempt to play your game or exit the software, you are prompted to save. Then we have our Export button. The export button turns your game into a nice little exe file for it to be easily transported and played. Then we have our two more important buttons, the play button and the debug mode. Play button launches your game within Game Maker, mostly for playtesting and other means. Then we have debug mode. By clicking the debug mode, it launches your game like usual, but this time it opens up a neat little UI for you to troubleshoot your game, but it does this by showing everything going on in your game in real time. It is a great tool. Then we have the stop web servers. Stopping the web server is to stop your game from compiling. Say if you forgot something to put in your game, you would click this button and it would cancel the compile process. The compile process is triggered when exporting and playing your game. Then we have clearing the cache. Over time you build up a cache from creating assets and playing your game. Over time this gets bigger and bigger and gets corrupted. Hitting this button clears that corrupted or big cache. Now let's talk about the resource tree. But on another note real quick, the reason I'm not talking about these buttons up here is because these buttons do the exact same thing as these folders down here, except in button form. On that note, let's get started with the resource tree. I will be explaining what each of these are in your game. Up first we have sprites. Sprites are the pretty pictures of your game in which they are everything you see. So the player, he is a sprite. Under that we have sounds. Sounds is anything that happens in your game that creates a sound. Self-explanatory. Then we have backgrounds. Backgrounds, as the name implies, are in the background of your game. They are for the most part non-interactable, except in the use of tile sets. A tile set would count as a background. Paths. Paths are a simple tool that allow you to make objects follow a path in a specific level. These are good for enemy AI and cutscenes. Then we have scripts. Scripts are a portion of code that you can write to be later called upon somewhere else, such as in an object. These are kinda harder to explain because they code just like any object, but they can be called upon multiple times in different places using a single line of code. In this case, it would be the execute command. This is good for condensing a lot of code into one little line, just so you can keep everything organized. Under that, we have shaders. Shaders are a bit more complex, but they manipulate what is rendered or drawn on the screen. Next, we have fonts. Fonts are text in your game that you can make and be used to write stuff in your game via being controlled by objects. Here we have timelines. Timelines are a very useful thing that allow to control what happens at certain points in your game, so something like this would be good for game intros or cutscenes. Next we have one of the most important things in your game, objects. Objects work with sprites to create almost everything you see in your game. They hold variables and can be manipulated through code and controlled. They are everything from your player to your enemies and even sometimes a part of your environment. Then we have rooms. Rooms are the levels in your game in which everything comes together to form your game. These next three I will be explaining. We have included files. Included files are for asset creation, so I will not be going in depth on it. All you need to know is that you won't be needing these very much, if not at all. Extensions. Extensions are used when importing other people's assets, and unless you are using other people's assets, you won't be using these. Then we have macros. A macro is a constant value that cannot be changed once it's defined. This can be used to shorten code strings by typing them out as a constant. Like say, J key can have its own value in the code string to be the keyboard check for that key. These next two things right here are game information and global game settings. Game information is something that you edit so you can type what your game is about. This is only for your use. Global game settings is just how the name implies. It's the global settings of your game, where you can control your project info, your graphics, your installer, and your general information. Hello everyone, it's NicholasVV, and at the end of this video, I would just like to say a few things. I spent quite a while trying to get this video perfect because it is my first, so I apologize if it is not. On another note, if you are new to this channel, I would like to ask that you download the Amino app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and join the game development community. My profile name is NicholasVV, and you can follow me and keep up and learn more about my personal projects I'm doing. Anyways, I would like to ask that you click the like button or even subscribe, as well as I would be extremely grateful if you do. Anyways, my name is NicholasVV, and I'll catch you guys later.